So now that a demo has hit the eShop for Kirby Star Allies, I thought I could make a quick video with my thoughts on it so far. So let's just do exactly that. So this video is going to be a unscripted one where I just talk about my initial thoughts of playing Kirby for the first time. So basically, there was a couple of issues that some people had brought up when they were when news started coming out for Kirby Star Allies, and I wanted to talk about one of them specifically. That one being that the game is not going to be running at 60 frames per second, and when I played it, it was very obvious to me that it was running 30. I'm not exactly a technical expert, but you can kind of, if you've played games long enough, you can kind of tell the difference of 30 FPS to 60 FPS. It's just, it feels different there. What I will say, though, is that for me, anyways, a game running at 30 frames per second doesn't really bother me unless it is a game that sort of needs the extra accuracy with your inputs. For example, I wouldn't necessarily need Fire Emblem to run at 60, while Bayonetta or Smash, I would demand it running at 60. But for Kirby, it's a very slow-paced platformer, so I don't see the necessity for 60 frames per second. So for 30, I'm alright with that. And honestly, the 30 frames per second really doesn't bother me here. When I played the game, well, first off, it was the first Kirby game I've played for a long time. I didn't play any of the random spin-offs that they came out with on the 3DS. And even if I don't count those, I didn't play Planet Robobot or Dream Deluxe. I forgot what that one was called, Kirby 3DS, the first Kirby 3DS game. I didn't play that game either. But I also didn't play the one on the Wii either. But yeah, it's been a really long time since I played a core Kirby game. If it means anything, my favorite Kirby game is Kirby and the Crystal Shards, but since I haven't played them in a while, maybe that would have changed by now, but I'm not too familiar, I wouldn't know. But, so when I went into playing this game and watching the trailers and seeing how the game looks and how it plays and the idea of mixing abilities with other co-op partners, essentially, my first thought was that basically this looks like Kirby and the Crystal Shards in a similar way. In the sense that basically it looks like they're taking the abilities where you fuse it with other abilities and kind of just making a new ability. Playing the game, I kind of realized that that's not entirely the case. I mean, yeah, you mix abilities. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, but it is a lot more limited than what Crystal Shards was. Where Crystal Shards, what made that my favorite Kirby game was the fact that you could mix abilities and make more abilities and that kind of thing. I always wanted them to kind of evolve on that idea, but from what I've seen in other games, it doesn't really seem that they really went and did that at all. What it does look like is that they've generally improved maybe the platforming, the level design, and that's great. I just wish they really addressed the power combining, so I was kind of hoping Star Allies would be in that vein, but it doesn't really seem that way. It kind of looks like a how do I put it, like you mix powers kind of by using a power, and then the other partner of yours would use their power, and this would create like a sort of new version of that power, kind of like a mixture. Most of there's not a lot of abilities you can use in the demo, but the ones that were there that I could mix, that I found out, figured out how to mix or whatnot, seems to be very specific. For example, you can take a water and apply it to a bomb, a sword, and pretty much a few things here and there, and this helps you kind of interact with the stage, unlock secrets, whatnot. Pretty much what you would do in Crystal Shards. My biggest disappointment, I have to say, would be that it seems pretty limited in nature. I won't know for sure until I get the full game, so this is all, off the cuff. I'm not sure if it's really all that limited. It's just what I've gathered so far. Maybe I'll do a full review for Kirby Star Allies and kind of address this. But as of right now, from what I've played, it kind of looks like it's very limited. It almost feels like it almost feels like you need a very specific power with a very specific other power for it to mix. Or very specific powers can mix with a lot of things, like fire and water seems to mix with a lot of other things. Maybe like elements seem to mix with certain powers very well. I'm not really sure how that goes. Maybe I'm totally wrong, but again, I'm not playing the full game, obviously, so I'll find out when the game releases. Other than that, the friend abilities do seem pretty cool. There was like the one in the demo was basically this spinning ball like thing where you kind of just go through the level and they just basically totaling everything on the way there. That was pretty cool. As always, Kirby is just as cute as ever. Kirby's still the cutest Nintendo character, period. I think it easily beats Pikachu as far as I'm concerned, and there really is no competition as far as I look at it. But yeah, so if you loved Kirby, it looks like it's going in the same direction as you normally would. And yeah, it just looks like a fun game, really. The puzzle pieces, though, you do collect puzzle pieces in this game as a sort of like a secret collectible, I guess. And it kind of reminds me of Me Plaza puzzles for some reason, because you can't really... It doesn't look like you collect a puzzle piece and it always unlocks that same puzzle piece. It almost looks like you just get a random one. I could be wrong, but it kind of just looks that way. I've played the demo twice now, both levels, and I'm not sure if I'm unlocking the same puzzle pieces or if I'm unlocking sort of random puzzle pieces for the board. I'm going to assume it's the same one now, because when I think about it, that would kind of put it at the mercy of RNG, and I think Kirby only really used RNG in one other occasion before. I could be wrong, though. Not too sure about that. But yeah, see, I guess that's really all I have for you guys. Kirby and the Crystal Shards is my favorite, so Star Allies' mixing ability was very interesting to me. And from what it looks like I'm still going to have a ton of fun with this game. Maybe it might even be close to Crystal Shards for me, but the only thing that's making me a little negative, if I did come off a little negative in this video, was that going from Crystal Shards, where you can mix any ability with any ability and you get something interesting, maybe something weird, new, kind of rewarded your experimentation of mixing different abilities. While it's very clear that in Star Allies you can't mix anything with anything. There's sort of like pre-approved things. Like I'm not sure. It's hard to kind of show it, but there is a point where if you have a power and you try to mix it with one of your other teammates, if they can't mix with you, they kind of just put out these little question mark bubbles next to their heads, and when you see that, it's kind of just telling you like, yeah, you can't mix these two things, and that's kind of disappointing, to be honest. But that's it, guys. I hope you like this quick impressions video. Maybe I'll do more of these. The last time I did a my thoughts on blank video was for Metroid Samus Returns back in, like, I think that was September, around September, maybe October. I don't remember exactly when that game came out. But if you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments. I love discussions. I love when you guys comment, interact with the video in some way. So obviously, if you can do any of that, it's greatly appreciated. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video.